Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Tel Cockerel, Sunday's edition of Jose and Chang Talk Tottenham, episode 5. And first of all, we're going to say to everybody that on this Sunday morning, Sunday evening, or Sunday afternoon, that we find you all well. So hopefully everyone is well. Early morning fix. It's always an early morning fix when Chang's about. For me, anyway, it's a late fix for Chang because Chang's in the evening. Chang, good evening to you, sir. How are you?
Good evening, Senor Garcia. Thank you very much, as always, for having me back on for another episode of Jose and Chang, episode 5 today, the 6th. Today is the 6th of April. I hope I got the dates correct this time around. And doing very well this particular weekend, despite our midweek loss, our narrow midweek loss to Chelsea on a late Thursday night. I still am very much looking forward to today's Premier League home fixture against Southampton. And probably we will be doing a bit of a preview for our midweek first leg home tie in the quarterfinals of the Europa League against Eintracht Frankfurt. Absolutely looking forward to that as well. And without further ado, let's get this show on the road, Jose. Having said that, back to you, FA.
Back to me, is it? Back to me. Yeah, it's been a week, Chang, because we normally do these on a Sunday, so we review what's happened in the previous week. I will start by saying, and I'm going to start by saying this before we start, and before I say hi to everyone in the chat. I grew up watching football, and I grew up having a chat, having banter, having discussions with people verbally. I never had to take a spreadsheet to a meeting with me or to a pub to have a chat about football. I never had to take paperwork with me. It was just a general conversation, you know. And the world has changed because in the world now you get hold of absolutely everything. And people come to have a discussion with you. They come armed with paperwork. That's not me. I just want to talk and have a chat about it. So that's what we're here to do. Right. Tigaro has become a new YouTube member. I will say, I think it's pinned into the chat. So if anyone wants to become a member, it's pinned into the chat. You have Adrian here says, "Good morning, Jose, Chang et al." And then he says, "Sit down, relax, we got this." And this was like at 8:52. This is 45 minutes ago. Graham is here, says, "Good morning, Jose and Mr. Chang. Hope you're both well." We are. Good morning to you, Graham, sir. Jimmy H is here, says, "Big up, Jose, in the chat from a very sunny Lake District." Nice and sunny in the Lake District. I'm really happy for you, mate. It makes dog walking easier. Shemtam says, "Good morning, Mr. Bossman Jose, the youngest looking old man, Mr. Chimichanga Chang. Hope you're both doing well this weekend." We are, Shemtam. God bless you, sir. I hope you are well too. Have I missed someone? No, I haven't missed anyone. Right, Jimmy Hotspur is here again. All right, so Rinketic says, "Hi, fellas. Good morning to you, Rinketic. I hope you're well, sir." Adrian says, "I'm looking forward to going to the game and seeing us win comfortably. I predict a 4-0 win." Good morning, Luke. Spotlight on Spurs, Luke. Good morning, all. I hope everyone is well. Big day today. Shemtam says, "Hey to all in the chat. Can the unthinkable happen today?" Adrian is saying that's the spirit. Sorry, Graham is saying that's the spirit to Adrian, but I have gone for a more conservative 2-0 win. Adrian's already. Everyone, I think everyone loves predictions because look, how many points have you guys got in Jose's predictions league? Nita is here. She says, "Good morning, Jose, Chang, and all in the chat." Good morning, Nita. I hope you and the family are well. Graham is taking there. He says, "Look, I'm having a terrible week, Adrian." I'm not going to say that unless you know, you know. Good evening to Just a Harmless. Good evening. Yeah, I think it's good evening to Just a Harmless Potato. Hello, good morning. Big up, Jose and Chang. Good evening to you, sir. Ronnie is here. Says, "Hello, Jose, Mr. Chang and chat. Can Spurs give me my birthday present today with 3 points?" Happy birthday, Ronnie.
Happy birthday, Ronnie.
Yeah, I hope you're well and I hope you get sport rotten, Ronnie. But happy birthday to you, mate. Jimmy Oxford says, I started with a great result, first result, and then I crashed and burned. You ain't done badly, Jimmy, so far, let me tell you that. Am I going to the protest? Well, it's a bit difficult because I live so far away from the ground, and I'm on at the moment, so clearly I'm not there. Tony Rodriguez, good morning to you, Tony. I hope you are well. So you and the family are well, should I say? Big up Jose Chang in the chat. Spurs, Southampton, a 2-2 draw. David Clark is here. He says, I remember going to football with my dad where he would be standing in the ground next to a supporter we were playing against and would have a robust but respectful conversation about the game. Just 100% so this morning, as I just got out of bed. Sorry, mate. It must be Dragon D's. I got you mixed up with Dragon D's, I think. Sorry, mate. So good morning to you, just a harmless potato. Right, as I said, we normally come at this weekly, Chang. So I put an order of events I think that have happened this week for us to discuss. Just confirm, you never know what we're talking about, do you?
Well, in my case, if you're talking about the fallout from Chelsea.
No, I'm talking about sending you. I never send you a script to tell you what we're discussing.
Oh no, absolutely not. Absolutely not, Jose. All of this is very impromptu.
Yeah, okay. So I just wanted to make sure, because I do the banners, but I never tell you what we're talking about. I just wanted to make sure that people knew this. So it's not pre-planned. It's like, this is in the olden days. You'd meet someone, you'd have a discussion about something. You're not saying ringing up your mate and saying, I'll meet you later and this is what we're going to talk about. No. It's I've set it up. Right. So the first talking point for me is there. Chang, fire away.
Okay, so I think it's only proper and respectable for me to bring up the epilogue from episode 4, the previous Sunday, just before we sign off, or rather before I signed off from episode 4, asking, or rather pleading for patience and forgiveness from the Spurs faithful, because honestly, I couldn't care less whether it's going to be Conte or AVB or Mourinho, even Pochettino, or even Nuno too, for that matter, who is taking this Spurs team, this Spurs squad over to Stamford Bridge. Historically speaking, we do not have a good track record over there. And I think if memory serves me right, the last time we won there was under Pochettino. If I remember correctly, it was Eriksson with the leveler before Dele Alli got a double. And we ran out 3-1 winners. But that's completely besides the point here, in which that the aftermath from yet another single goal margin loss, this time it's the second consecutive London derby defeat after the 2-0 away loss to Fulham at Craven Cottage just before the mini international break. So a lot of fans who are looking at those two back-to-back London derby defeats, they will be, up in arms, saying that, Big Ange is the single worst manager that's ever managed a club in our entire Premiership history. And to be fair, they're not wrong about that, because the stats and the points tally for that matter, which I'm talking about, that speaks volumes. But despite all that, I did mention on multiple occasions ever since we started doing Jose and Chang, we can't really get relegated at this point, and neither can we qualify for Europe via the league. So, having said that, why not just think of the league games as merely a warm-up exercise for what really matters? And to me, personally, the only thing that actually matters right now is the Europa League, starting with next Thursday night against Frankfurt at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Having said that, it would not surprise me one bit, Jose, if Big Ange were to field substitutes or even bench warmers later on this afternoon, UK time. I think it's 2:30 p.m. kickoff? 2:30 p.m. kickoff today against Southampton. So for me, that loss against Chelsea away at Stamford Bridge, yes, it is a loss nonetheless, and we failed to score yet again. But in retrospect, or rather looking at the larger picture, I, for one, am very glad and particularly thankful we didn't pick up any new injuries, because there's been a theme of Big Ange's tenure at Spurs so far, and neither did we pick up any needless suspensions, which should give Big Ange plenty to rotate for later this afternoon and even on Thursday. So I think my final thoughts on that dismal and disappointing loss to Chelsea was that worse things have happened to us. I mean, you need only look at the 5-2 home loss to Chelsea after 10 consecutive unbeaten games to the start of a Big Ange's Premiership career with Spurs, to see how things can get very, very wrong very quickly. And yes, I would not just sweep this loss under the carpet. There are a lot of troubling things that need answering, but this is not the time to try and nitpick or even try to sort of get any sort of managerial change underway, as we still have lots to play for in Europa League. Having said that, as long as Big Ange is still in the hot seat, I am fully behind him, win, lose or draw, until such time where his position is untenable, and that we really need a serious change in managers, just so that we don't lose the entire dressing room to the point where even the likes of a Bergvall or Vicario or even Mickey Van der Ven start handing in their transfer requests come summer. So that loss is a loss, but moving onwards, I am just glad. Again, I will just have to repeat myself that I'm glad we didn't pick up any new injuries, no needless suspensions, and let's just see what happens later on this afternoon. I mean, yes, we have won away at St. Mary's by 4-0 earlier this season, but given the way that we've been misfiring and also the way that we haven't been able to keep clean sheets of late, it wouldn't surprise me if it's going to be another scrappy encounter at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium later this afternoon. But onwards and upwards, Jose, that's the only thing I can offer at this point. I will though have to point out, if I may, before I end this review of the Chelsea game, I still feel that some of the substitutions that were made, yes, if they work, or rather if, let's say, the substitutes score a goal or provide an assist, then it will be seen as a genius move. But if the substitutes come on and the players who were more effective before they went off, if that looks bad on Ange, then this is the sort of thing that happens all the time in game. We as fans, we as mere spectators, we have no idea what's going on behind the scenes, whether a certain player is still carrying an injury, or if they're not fully fit to play the entire 90 minutes of football since coming back from their international duties. All I will say is, so long as those players are willing to don lily white, come on the pitch and put on a shift, I'm fully behind those players and the managerial staff. But things have to change, Jose, starting from today. So let's just hope we get something from this afternoon's home league encounter, and we'll see where this takes us going into we're going to meet into Thursday night's first leg encounter against Frankfurt. Having said that, back to you, FA.
To be honest, our record at Chelsea is abysmal. We alluded to this last week. I allude to this all the time. This is the game that I want to win most in the whole of the season.
Yep.
But that's personally, it's a personal reason as to why. Some other people will say, that it's still Arsenal for them, but mine has always been Chelsea because the backstories that I've given before. Arsenal follow a close second for me, but for me it's Chelsea, always has been, rightly or wrongly. But I mean, yeah, we only lost by one goal. For me it could have been a lot more than one goal. We looked very, very nervous, or the goalkeeper looked very, very nervous, Vicario, for the whole game. for me, looked very, very nervous. Yeah, he pulled off some great saves, but his footwork again was. I had my heart in my mouth. Now I've got a Fitbit, right? I've got one all the time, and normally my resting rate is about 54. Whilst watching, every time Vicario touched the ball, I looked at my Fitbit and it raised to about 82. So it's not that bad, I suppose, but it raised to 82. I'm not going to be in a troubled zone for raising to 82, but it raised to 82, and it always happened when Vicario got the ball. You know, and at the end of the day, was it the right selection, the wrong selection? For me, my concerns are from the game. What I took from the game was that we have Odegaard and Son as the wingers, and I think Son took his player on and beat Malagusto once in the first half. I did not see Odegaard beat his player at all in the whole time that he was on the pitch. I didn't see Johnson beat his player the whole time that when he came on and was on the pitch. And to me, and I've put this in some other chats, but I've not discussed it with anyone. To me, Solanke has regressed because Solanke doesn't get fed the ball. If you don't feed your striker, now I'm not talking just about crosses. When I said the word crosses, people mistook. Crosses is when you lift the ball, yeah? People associate a cross with lifting the ball. But if we look at all the training videos that Tottenham do, every training video that I see, doesn't matter what day of the week you see it, or what week of the year you see it, or what month, they all seem to be the same. So where the players get out wide and put the ball into the box, even along the floor. But our wingers, our wide players are not even doing that. Solanke gets no service whatsoever, you know, and at the end of the day, I'm sure, unless we're kidding people, right? And I mean, unless we're kidding people, what we see on the, unless they do it to fool the other teams, in training, they always do this setup where they go wide and put the ball in the box. We never, ever seem to do that. And that concerned me against Chelsea. How did Chelsea's goal come about? They got the ball out. Cole Palmer put a cross in. Smallest player for Chelsea, Enzo Fernandez, gets the goal from a header. Well, we don't even get an opportunity to do that because we never put the ball in the box. So, you know, it was the way that we got beaten. It was only 1-0. It could have been more, like I said. So people might turn around, yeah, but we only lost by the one goal. No, it's not about the losing by the one goal. It's the manner of the defeat. It's the performance that we put in getting beaten. If we put in a performance and we've got beaten fair and square, but we put up a really good fight, their goalkeeper made some great saves, you know, and stuff like that, then we could turn around. We'll be having a different conversation. But it was just a lackluster, and it was very lackluster what we did. And I look at all the players that we've got out wide today, our players that we play with, you know, as wide wingers or whatever, and I think to myself, they've all got different profiles, but who's going to do what it says on the tin? Who's going to beat a man? Who's going to put the ball in the box? You know, and for me, I just think that the players that we've got are either not up to it and can't take their men on, or they're told not to take their men on, which is contrary to what we see in the training sessions. But you know, that's what I take from that game. And then moving on, we'll go on to the next one. But just before we go on to the next one, the next banner I've got Chang, just say some more people. Chang says, well, today got to go and spend the day with my family as my sister's getting married today. Should be excited, but it's the third time lucky. Have a really nice day with your family, Shemtam. And I hope your sister's picked the right number this time. And number 3 works out. So yeah, fair play. Have a good day.
Third time's the charm, they always say.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Graham says freestyler Jose. I think he was referring to when I said having a chat with people without taking paperwork with you. Adrian says, how many team changes do you think Ange will make with Frankfurt in mind on Thursday? I don't know. You won't know till you see the lineup today. Only today, when you see the lineup, can you think of how many changes he's going to make for Thursday. Jimmy Oxford, yeah, saying, but it was only by 1 goal. Finn is here. Good morning, Finn. Says, big up Jose Chang in the chat. Good morning, Finn. I hope you are well, sir. Just Thomas Protect says, we are 16th. Win versus Southampton, and we jumped to 13th. It's a must-win game today. Southampton should be on the beach already. Well, they are next to the beach because they're on the coast. And he says he's also pretty confident it will be a comfortable win. Jimmy says that the biggest problem at Chelsea was the performance. It was shockingly bad. Good morning, Haz. Haz is here. I ain't seen you in a minute. Haz, I hope you are well, sir. Says Anne should have been sacked a long time ago. Right, I'm going to start the question, and we'll answer that later. We have one remaining light at the end of the tunnel. We will know after Thursday if it's an oncoming train or not, says Graham. David Clark says, win, lose or draw, one thing is certain in mind. It is that our current coach has not been able, for whatever reason, being able to implant these ideas into the heads of these players. There is no cohesion. Nita says, I met a freelance cameraman yesterday. He's a Spurs fan and works on their match days. His words about the club and fans, toxic. The vibes are not good. Ronnie's saying to Jimmy, even if we lost today, they won't sack him. Just a harmless potato says, I think they will stick with Ainge till the end of the season. I'm already getting excited for the new project and the promising next transfer window. Yeah, I think you're having a bubble, aren't you? Ainge will make 7 changes. VDV had calf cramp, so he won't be playing. Solanke at 63 million is expensive for a striker who can only score with the ball laid on a plate. He created his own chances. Ronnie's been saying for the last 3 days. David Bates says this: it looks like VDV, Maddison, and Son will not be in the squad today. I don't know about not being in the squad, but I do understand that he might rest players. Chang, the next talking point.
I think I'm just going to say one thing about this and one thing only from what I saw post-match from some replay or some clips I saw on social media during the Chelsea game. And that was the gesture Ange made of cupping his ears to these fans when the disallowed Pape Matar goal went in. For me, I think he himself said it best. I think it was post-match when he said that fans were using, or rather fans are employing sort of like bullying tactics when it comes to recording their encounters or their face-off with him or even with their players. And honestly, this is actually something that I thought would boil over a lot sooner. But now that it has come to this, and now that he has addressed it, I think we, as YouTubers ourselves, if I can consider myself a YouTuber, should be addressing this, in which that I think no good ever comes from any sort of a scapegoating or, in this case, name calling, or in Big Angel's case, bullying, as he calls it, whenever the fans confront him. I have long been very much against any form of sort of like nitpicking, or if you're a heckler or you're heckling or just wanting to vent and let loose whatever is pent up inside you. I think that he is stronger than all this, the name calling and all that heckling. But what followed after, and this is something that he did speak plainly about in the post-match conference, in which he did mention that he is categorically falling out in love with the game. And I don't blame him. I absolutely do not blame him, because social media, the internet, and maybe our way of life, the digital way of life, whereby we can, so to speak, like just be keyboard warriors and hide behind faceless accounts and nameless accounts to just target players, and not even players, managers or anyone in particular in life. That, I think, is what's wrong today with everything that is associated with sports, or not even sports, just life in general. Whether it's politics or the way a country is run. I myself did consider staying far away from YouTube well before I even joined up with Miss Ash, doing a view from Asia with you over on LTEL. So this right here is exactly the very reason for that. But I'm not exactly siding with Ange, but in a way, I could say that the fans themselves, they aren't doing themselves any credit by recording their encounters with Ange or the players and then posting them on social media. Whether it's for views, whether it's to just for a quick minute of fame, or if there's any sort of monetary, gain to be doing any of this, I honestly feel that this shouldn't have even come to. It should not even have come to this point. But now that it has, I think it has to be addressed, and there is no better way, I feel, for it to be addressed other than to take it on face on. And in that respect, with this regard, I think Ange is stronger than all of us, and he would have the experience and also the temperament to not let it get over his head. But at some point, he still has to address it, because otherwise then people will be calling him a coward, or people will be thinking that he doesn't have it in him to manage at this level. Whatever the reasoning, whatever is going on, behind the scenes with him, and how he deals with this, I think he's done admirably, considering everything that's been going on since things took a turn for the worse at the end of last season. But regardless of how the fans react, or regardless of how we are doing on and off the pitch, I have this sneaky feeling, Jose, that even if we do win the Europa League this season, that he might not even be with us beyond this season, come this coming summer. So I think that for him, I think his time might be up, and it's only a matter of when the board decides to pull the trigger on getting another new manager in through the door. But until such time, again, this goes back to what I said at the very beginning of the show. Until such time he is replaced, I'm still fully behind him, because honestly, I think the alternatives could be a whole lot worse. And not only that, we could lose more than just a manager if we do sack him now before the end of the season. So let's just see where this goes. But yeah, the fans who are doing all this heckling and name calling, they are not doing themselves any good. It definitely doesn't bode well, really, for even the next manager. If, let's say, Pochettino had an eye on returning, but he knows that this is the fandom that awaits him. These are the kind of fans that with our ill temperaments, or our short fuses, we are so quick to point the finger and play the blame game. So it's not going to be an easy appointment. But until, again, as long as Big Ange is still in the hot seat, I'm still fully behind him. And yeah, I really do hope he does turn it around, because we need the fans back on our side come Thursday night against Frankfurt. Having said that, back to you, Jose.
So for me, on the Postecoglou stuff, I take a step back on all of this, like I normally do with Postecoglou. I just take a step back, and he is a man that's under intense pressure. Okay, it comes with the territory, it comes with the role, but emotions and being a human being don't come with the territory, don't come with the role. We're all human beings, and we all have different emotions, and we have different pinch points that affect us, and some pinch points don't affect us. And with Postecoglou, what I tend to find is that it depends what side of the fence you sit on. Because if you sit on one side of the fence, then anything that Postecoglou does will be magnified by 1,000. If you sit on the other side of the fence, then Postecoglou do something and you just brush it off, you know, and ignore it. So he's got he's got an Australian sense of humour, and that can be found. We've got people in our chats who are good friends of ours that are from Australia, and their way of banter is totally different to ours, to the English people anyway. I'm going to say that, but it's quite humorous at times. Now, he gets peppered with questions in interviews. People try and mock him in interviews as well, and of course he's going to react. Of course he's going to say things. He gives you an answer that might be slightly different to what another person may give, so people dissect the answer that he then gives. You know, his hand gesture the other day, whether it was aimed at the fans, whether it wasn't aimed at the fans, some people will take it was aimed at the fans when he cupped his ear. Some people will say it was aimed at the fans, and I would suggest that the majority of people that are out would have jumped on that and said he's out of order because he's cut his hands down, and they won't accept what he said as the reasoning behind it. You know, he just wanted the supporters to support. We just scored a goal, and he wants supporters to have, you know, to support the side. That those people that are not vehemently out would probably accept what he said when he was questioned about this. So really, for me, it depends on what side of the fence you sit on. He always courts controversy because of, you know, his responses, and because he doesn't answer the questions, the way people want them to be answered, people take offense to it. At the end of the day, like I said, he's a human being. Everyone has different emotions. Everyone has different makeup. And at the end of the day, I can't change people's opinions, and I'm not here to change people's opinions and views. I'm just saying that people will, with the Postecoglou situation, it depends what side you've planted your flag as to what your reaction is going to be with everything that Postecoglou says or does. And that's where I see it. Whether he was right, whether he was wrong, whether, you know, I accept what he said or he didn't, it all depends, like I said, where you've planted your flag in the sand. Sorry, we just need to catch up before I move on to the next thing. You had a few people here come in. Right, I'm going to start that one a question. Eugene's here. Look, says hi everyone, big up, but he's got a bit more to say. Shemtam says, can't believe what Mr. Chang is saying. Chang, you're the problem. Chang out, says Shemtam. Good morning, Smithy. Says, love Senor Garcia and Senor Mr. Chang. Good morning, Smithy. I hope you're well, sir. I haven't heard from you, so no news at the moment. But when you do get the news, Smithy, you make sure you message me. And I heard your voice note the other day, Smithy, and I was a choir boy. That's all I'm going to say. Graham is saying, good morning. David Clark says, I will continue to criticise Ains for his tactics and substitutions. But as for his actions on the pitch and in post-match interviews, I will not, because right or wrong, pressure can make coaches react. Eugene says, Ains should address by winning games. Fair comment. Shemtam has become a new YouTube member. Thank you very much, Shemtam, for joining the crowd. It's much appreciated. Let me see if I can bring Jimmy Hotspur says, his biggest problem, Chang, is he can't handle pressure and contradicts himself regularly. He's a fraud. Sorry, mate. Eugene says, Ains the only manager that is allowed to attack fans. Eugene says that they'll be doing a protest watch along on his channel, Spurs Racing TV, at 12 p.m. UK time, which is a couple of hours away.
Sorry, very quickly. Sorry, Senor guys, I need to quickly add that to what Mr. Eugene just wrote. Mr. Eugene, if you are still listening, I hope you are aware that the clocks have really gone forward UK time. So 12 p.m. UK time is only 7 p.m. our local Malaysian time, which is roughly 2 hours from now. So I hope you're aware of that. If you're doing, say, the watch along protests at 1 p.m., then that would be 8 p.m. Local Asian time. So
yeah,
just you know,
but the
just
but
so
the
you know
thing
that.
is though, but the thing is though, Chang, that the protest will probably the game kicks off at 2 o'clock, not 2:30. So what Eugene said sounds about right, because you're not going to get there an hour before the game, because it doesn't give you enough time to walk down, do your protest, and get into the ground. So 12 o'clock sounds about quite right. David Clark says, Pep, one of the world's best ever coaches, winning multiple trophies in many leagues, recently self-harmed during a Premier League game. Should he be experienced enough not to allow pressure to cause it? Jimmy says to me, why put yourself in that position though, Jose? It's very unprofessional. Eugene says his gesture is not the correct one. You've got Graham says, to be honest, what a manager says or does is pretty immaterial. The real talking should be done on the pitch. Sadly, we are not saying much at the moment. Nita says, Ange's not the first manager that has to come to the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium that cracked. It's becoming unreal. And Eugene says, I am Ange, don't care. Most important is Levy out. Then Eugene's just confirming to you, yes, I'm aware it's going to be a long stream for me, from the protest watch along to the game watch along. Right, the next banner that I've got, Chang, you touched on a little thing earlier, and like I said, Chang, you talk, but you don't realize what my banners are going to be. But there was also this week, and this will tie in with something for me. This will tie in with something you said earlier. But you are aware of the financial reveal, and then the 68 word statement that Levy followed after.
Okay, I'll be honest with you, Jose. I have absolutely no idea what the financial reveal is, and neither have I read the statement, nor do I have any clue what the statement is about. But I am guessing, because you brought it up on the show, and given Levy or rather Enix's historic or financial historical track record ever since they took over, I'm guessing that they must have made record profits or brought in major, major cash via probably stadium revenue or ticketing revenue, or even merchandising. Probably more to do with the advertising, or even the whatever events or concerts are being held at the stadium. But yeah, again, then this would reflect on how that money is then reinvested into the club, into the footballing aspect of the club, not just the N17 and the stadium, but into the footballing matters, which is what really matters to us Spurs fans. But please, Jose, do tell what this financial reveal and statement is about.
Okay. The total revenue for the year decreased by 4%. From 520, sorry, it was 549.6 million. It's now gone down to 528.2. Match receipts of 105.8 million were down from 117.6 due to 9 fewer home games in the prior year. UEFA prize money was 1.3 million. And it was the difference was the year before it was 56.2 million, and reflecting the difference, not participating in European competition in the current year and reaching the Champions League round of 16 in the prior year. The prize money in this period of financial account payment relating to the pricing. So basically, because we were in 2 years ago, we were in the Champions League, we got 56.2 million, but because we weren't in the competition at all, any European competition last year, that dropped to 1.3 million. So that's a 50 million hit. TV and media revenues were up, so they went from 148.1 million to 165.9, and that's driven by the Premier League broadcast deal and a higher position of the Premier League finishing in 5th as opposed to 8th the previous season. Commercial revenues and other income from sponsorship, merchandise, and other income such as third-party events, visitor attractions, and pre-season tour and conference events increased to 255.2 million as opposed to 227.7 the year before. So that was up by 27 million. Operating expenses before football trading decreased by 7%, principally due to fewer football matches and third-party events. So where the expenses were 487.9 million the year before, last year they were 453.6. Profit from operations before depreciation, amortization, player trading, interest and taxation increased by 4%. So it was 138.7, it's now 144.9. The loss after the year, after depreciation, amortization, player trading was 26.2 million as opposed to 86.8 the year before. The net debt as of 30th of June 2024 was 772.5 million, which was before 677.4 million. So over 90% of our financial borrowings of 585.5 million are at fixed rates with an average interest rate of 2.79%. The average maturity of all the borrowings is 18.6 years, some of which stretch until 2051, ensuring limited impact on the club's ability to invest and spend in the squad. As with prior years, no dividends have been paid. So, on the men's football side, they said Ange Postecoglou's first season saw us finish 5th place in the Premier League. Chris Davies left at the end of the season to become manager at Birmingham City, and Nick Montgomery and Sergio Raimundo joined the coaching staff for the 24-25 season, with Matt Was promoted to our senior assistant coach. Our summer 23 signings of Luka Vuskovic, Brendan Johnson, Alejo Veliz, Mickey van der Ven, Ashley Phillips, Manor Solomon, James Madison, Guillermo Vicario, Pedro Porro, and Dejan Kulusevski were joined by Radu Dragusin and Timo Werner in the January window. Archie Gray joined in June 2024. Outside of this period, Dominic Solanke, Wilson Odebert, Lucas Berival joined in the summer of 2024, followed by Anthony Kingsky, Yang Min Hyuk, Kevin Danso, and Matthias Tell in the January transfer window. So they will all be affected in this year's financial at the end of the year. Then it talks about the women's football. They talk about the non-revenue operations on and off the pitch, but fan engagement, he talks about the chairman's statement. This is the chairman's statement. As we announce our financial results for the year to 30th of June 2024, we currently find ourselves 14th position in the Premier League, navigating what has been a highly challenging season on the pitch. We are, however, in the quarterfinals of the UEFA Europa League. Winning this competition would see welcome silverware and mean qualification for the UEFA Champions League. We must do everything we can to support the team in these key financial stages. Since opening the new stadium in 2019, we have invested over 700 million net in player acquisitions. Recruitment remains the key focus, and we must ensure that we make smart purchases within our financial means. I often read calls for us to spend more, given what we are ranked as 9th richest club in the world. However, a close examination of today's financial figures reveals that such spending must be sustainable in the long term and within our operating revenues. Our capacity to generate recurring revenues determines our spending power. We cannot spend what we do not have, and we will not compromise the financial stability of this club. Indeed, off-pitch revenues have significantly supplemented the lower football revenues this year, testament to our diversified income strategy. I want to thank everyone who supports us through good times and bad. We are resilient and passionate about our club. We shall aim to finish this season as strongly as we can and continue to build for success on the pitch. That's the statement. What do you take from that, Chang?
Wow. What a load of tripe was the first thought that comes to my head. But, I mean, there are many ways of looking at that statement. They still have to, however bad, or rather, however big of a loss or a hit in the profits the club faces, they still have to dress it up for the investors, for the shareholders or potential buyers of the club. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong mind you, there's nothing wrong with sort of wanting to hope for better tidings beyond this season or even beyond this summer. But there has to come a point really where the footballing side of the club has to take precedence over any of this profits or income that the club rakes in. And for far too long, or rather for the most part since Daniel Levy and Enoch have been in charge, the one biggest talking point among many a fan is that the finances, or rather the profits that are raked in from gate receipts or from advertising or from whatever events that are being held under the club's banner and with the club's name, how much of that is then pumped back or reinvested into the team, into the players, even the coaching staff, the managerial staff? That I think is the one sticking point that a lot of us are still puzzled over. And I believe it was just only under 12 months or even it was within this season in which we were officially and on the books we were supposed to be we were touted to be financial fair play champs, whatever that means, however that's supposed to be read. If that is such, if we are at the top of this financial fair play rankings or the ratings based on our spending, the way we've reinvested the money, how we recruit, the amount of money that's the wages that we pay out, then that should then be reinvested back into the players or even the coaching staff or even the medical team. Come to think of it, however, given the way that we've just been nose diving, we have been free falling in our league, or rather in footballing terms, ever since we got rid of Pochettino. That I think is the one thing that a lot of us fans just can't get our heads around. I mean, I am as optimistic as any optimistic Spurs fan will come across, but there has to come a point where you just have to ask yourself just how much of these finances are being put back into the club, the footballing aspect of the club, that is. And for me, whatever statement, whatever financial review, whatever figures, whatever balance sheets they throw at us, until we see success, until those figures actually equate success, none of it matters. And that is the whole crux of the matter. I could go on and on about how things aren't, that not everything is all balance sheets and not everything is all black and white. But you would expect some form of growth from all these financial reviews and statements when there are actually none to be seen. Yes, maybe you could say the recruitment is doing better, in the sense that we aren't getting that many flops. Not that I can tell from the last couple of signings we've had with the likes of our the Bergvalls or the Dragushins or even Salankis. But there will come a point where even the staunchest and the most hardened Spurs fans would just be questioning themselves, what am I even supporting? Is there even a football club? Is there still a football club here? Or where is the football club that these fans fell in love with? Where is it now? And I also find myself asking myself that, like, is this the same football club that I started supporting 3 decades ago in the early 90s? Given the way how much has changed, but yet everything still remains the same. And the last thing I have to say about it is that until such time where we actually see success on the pitch, none of these financial reviews and statements really mean much to us football fans. And let's just hope that come end of this season, if we do lift the Europa League, then maybe this is the big change in our fortunes that was really required to usher in a new sort of a new sort of arc in our footballing history. But it doesn't look good, Jose. It doesn't look good, no matter how profitable or even how disastrous our statements and reviews are. Until we see success, it's all rinse and repeat, season after season. Having said that, back to you, FA.
So, before I say my piece on this, Levy Towers says, we are so lucky that Ipswich and Leicester are awful. Otherwise, this manager would have had us relegated. There will be still fans defending him. Jimmy Hotspur says, in short, Chang, he's preparing fans for a low-spend summer again. Nita says, eat it out. Take Levy and his board members with them. We need change for the footballing side of our club. Eugene says, Levy's see you next Tuesday statement towards the fans. Chang says that would not require a crystal ball to tell how transfer spending will play out. Share that to Jimmy. David Clark. So with Spurs again having a revenue going down and the less game revenue and TV requests up, nothing to do with Levy. Loss of 22.6 million. So how the hell did Levy get a huge pay increase on those figures? Smithy saying there's no news. Still, she's in the oven. And what a game I managed to get to yesterday. Big up Oxford every single time. And then he says, and regarding the voice note, I don't believe you, Jose. Nita says the academy also bring a big chunk of monies to the club as well. Good morning, Paul. Says, morning, Jose, Chang in chat. Good morning, Paul. I hope you're well, sir. Eugene says, a net spend of 700 million and we are 16th at the moment. Where's the accountability? And Jimmy Hotspur says, well done to you, Chang. I'm not realising that you're responding already. Just a harmless potato says, well, the financial report shows that all the concerts and all the cuts to the wage budget could not make up for the money lost from not qualifying for Europe. Right. So for me, all I'm going to say to people is, all right, Jimmy kind of hit the nail on the head earlier when he said, when he made his comment, where he was referring to you, Chang, to say, in short, Chang is preparing fans for a low-spend summer again. Right. For me, if you want to move on, and this is what he's criticised for, Levy, by a lot of people, right? It's because we show no ambition. We don't take that next step. We don't buy that £150,000 a week player. We don't pay the wages. We don't step up to the mark when we need to. And it appears that this season may be the same again. All I'm going to say to people is, and I can't defend what Levy does in this situation with the players. Yeah, we spent badly, but in the last few years, it's not the spending badly. We've reduced the player wage ratio to become the cheapest in the whole of Europe. Not in the top 10, not in the top 20 teams, but the cheapest in the whole of Europe when it comes to squad ratio numbers. We were down at 42%, which is the lowest of any, even struggling European teams in the leagues. Squad cost ratio is higher than ours. Now, let's look. Who's doing well? Give me some teams, Chang, that are doing well in the league this season. Some Premiership teams that are doing well. Who's doing well this year for you?
Forest, I would say Nottingham Forest are doing well.
Okay, Forest. Who else?
Of course, anyone in the top 5 or even the top 6, if you just judging by the table and their performances in the domestic leagues or the domestic cups and even in Europe, I would say that to a certain extent, definitely Liverpool are flying high, followed very closely by Arsenal, and probably one of Villa, Bournemouth or even Brighton. But other than that, yeah, I would say that those are the clubs that are doing well or they are performing this season.
So Nottingham Forest. Okay, so we'll start with for me, the two principal characters I'm going to look at is I'm going to look at Nottingham Forest and I'm going to look at Aston Villa, right? Two teams that we think are doing fairly well this season. Were these two teams in Europe last year?
No, they were not.
Okay. Were they in Europe the year before?
Not that I know of. No, I don't think so.
They weren't. They weren't in Europe 2 seasons ago either. What have these two clubs done? They have built their squads. They've spent the money. They've brought players in, and they've built squads they've got now because they took a punt, because their plan was to get footballing success. You need to spend to get the footballing success. They spent wisely. They've bought players. They've created a squad. They're both flying now. Now, Aston Villa qualified for the Champions League last year at our expense by finishing 4th. Did they sit down and think to themselves, yeah, we've qualified now for the Champions League? No. Aston Villa moved up on a pace. They went and signed more players. They went and built their squad and made it even stronger to fight this season. Now, some would say that Villa have struggled. Okay, if Villa have struggled, I think they're in the semi-final of the FA Cup. They're in the quarter-final of the Champions League, and they're now 6th in the Premiership. That, to me, doesn't sound like a struggle. They have gone and committed. Yeah, Forest went and committed. You could say Chelsea are up there. Chelsea have committed because Chelsea had no European football last year either. They've gone and committed. You know, you look at these teams, they commit. Arsenal did not commit last season, and neither did Liverpool. Man City have committed. So when you're looking at the top 5 or 6 teams, they've committed. But Arsenal and Liverpool, I kid you not now, next season, Arsenal and Liverpool will commit. In the summer transfer window, Arsenal and Liverpool, look at their spending. You watch their spending for next season in the summer transfer window. You watch every other team spending. What will Tottenham do? Tottenham will go and buy youngsters again, or Tottenham will buy players that will not go beyond £80,000 in salary. That is not committing to football. And I think the statement, as you've got, as Jimmy Hotspur said earlier, I think that this statement is already preparing us, because he said the words in his statement were, let me just go back to the words that really hit me the other day when I read this statement were, however, a closer examination of today's financial figures reveals that spending must be sustainable in the long term and within our operating revenues. Our capacity to generate recurring events determines our spending power. We cannot spend what we do not have, and we will not compromise financial stability of this club. Indeed, off-the-pitch revenues have significantly supplemented the lower football revenues this year. Testament is to our diversified income strategy. What diversified income strategy do Aston Villa have? Nottingham Forest, Liverpool, Arsenal. Liverpool and Arsenal don't have all the outside influences that Tottenham Hotspur have got. Now, this summer, these two teams will go and spend big. Arsenal didn't spend any money last year, right? Last summer, they spent next to nothing. Arsenal have a war chest. Arsenal don't have the revenues that come in diversified revenues that Tottenham have. Liverpool, they're going to lose players this season, whether they're out of contract or not. People will be moved on, right? They're going to have to spend money to bring players in, but they will commit, because in order to keep up with, as I say, the Joneses of this world, and if you want to keep up with the Joneses and the Smiths, you've got to do what the Joneses and the Smiths are doing. Tottenham don't do what the Joneses and Smiths do, and therefore we will lag behind again. And this statement, unless he pulls a rabbit out of the bag in the summer, this statement to us and to fans and to people of Tottenham Hotspur means absolutely nothing. It just means more of the same. And how much more can people put up with this? If you love your club and you're seeing that everybody else, even teams that shouldn't be, are going out there and smashing it to get somewhere, then why aren't we? Brighton last season, okay, they had a war chest, but they spent £200 million last season in the summer, or just over £200 million in the summer transfer window last season. They spent that money, and Brighton currently sit in, where's Brighton? Brighton currently sit in 8th place. They're 4 points off 5th, right? But they committed. They went and spent. They committed. At the end of the day, we're not committing. And this statement So not only do the finances come out where people can see the finances for themselves and people that understand the finances, but then the statement that followed straight after the financial statement came out from Levy is absolutely demoralizing. And there is no, today it adds fuel. I mean, I know the protest for today was already pre-planned, but this statement has added even more fuel to that protest that was going to happen today. So that's where I am on the Levynomics Financial Reveal statement. Let me catch up with a bit of the chat, and then I'm going to move on to a cheeky thing, and then I'll carry on. You've got just Armour says, well, the financial report shows that all the concerts and all the cutting the wages budget could not make up the money. Okay, I've read that one. David Clark says, Levy is a fraud. He brings players in on loan. So Spurs fans think we have new players. But in the next window, if we buy those players, the cost comes out of what the window's war chest. So there's less money. Eugene was saying Forest, Bournemouth and Newcastle. Paul G is talking to Graham. Just like I said, they were in the Championship 6 years ago. Of course, they would struggle in their first European season. I don't know what that means because they've bought players now. They're not in Europe yet. None of them. They're not in Europe yet. Forest, if you look at Forest, and Aston Villa got into Europe this season and haven't struggled. Aston Villa haven't been in Europe, and they went and bought. The people spend money. Jimmy Oxford says, I've perfectly explained that. And Archer, good morning, Archer. I hope you're well. So says, the whole point of the diversified revenue streams is to top up the transfer key. More Levy lies, says Archer. Right, I'm going to just step away from football. I've got 3 more to do. I just wanted to ask this. Did anyone heed my advice for the Grand National? That's all I'm asking. I did a show on the other day, and it was the day before we did the predictions. And it was the day before the Grand National, and I talked about 3 horses. I said I'd do them each way because I only do each way. I don't gamble normally, but I do the Grand National. And I said 3 horses at each way, and one of them won at 33 to 1. One came 5th at 20 to 1, and the other one I think he finished 12th. I think he finished 12th. So he actually finished the race and finished 12th. But if people adhered to what I said, and they would have won themselves some money. I did say each way. So, and I don't put much money on. But, yeah, I just wanted to. It's just a cheeky one. Did anyone heed my advice for the Grand National? No doubt people are going to say, no. But anyway, right, moving on to the next one. The next one, Chang. We discussed this man last week. There was news during the week. Do you know the news during the week? It said that he had signed for Milan.
Unfortunately, I didn't hear about this, but now that I have heard it from you, I think that would be the wise move for him. Because if I were
No, sorry, I haven't finished yet. All the comments said he was going to Milan, right? He was signing for Milan. And that was an early part of this week. However, on Wednesday or Thursday, it was announced that the Milan deal has fallen through, that it cannot be done for legal reasons. So Paratici is now still on the market. That's why I've put down the Paratici saga continues. So now that you know what I've just said, what do you think of the saga? And what would you do? What are your thoughts?
Okay, now that I've heard what you said, and that there was a concrete interest from Milan, and they did all they could to get him. And the only thing that's preventing that from going through is the legal aspect of his transfer, or rather his hiring at AC Milan. That tells me that even the recruitment, they have had enough of this club, or in another way of looking at it, they've had enough of Levy. And this does not look good for the club and even Levy and Inik. If the recruitment have had enough, whether they feel that the players that they bring in, or the players that they scout aren't properly utilized, or they aren't getting the minutes that they should be getting, or they aren't achieving success at clubs where they know that these players that are being scouted are capable of, then that just highlights and it impounds, or it inflicts even more sort of embarrassment upon Levy and the club. And I don't blame Paratici one bit. I do not blame him for wanting to try out a new project at a different club, possibly a new country, a new region, a new league altogether. And for someone of Paratici's his talents, his scouting talent, and his ability to spot talent early on before these talent become financially overinflated. I honestly feel that this is the best possible move for him, away from Spurs, away from N17, even possibly away from the Premiership. But I mean, if we were to push the boat out for him, now that he has accepted Milan and is willing to try something new, I mean, who's to say that things won't work out differently if we were to retain him? And this goes all the way back to what I said earlier. Until such time that we see some change, until such time we see success on the pitch, unfortunately, things are just only going to remain the same. And Paratici is the perfect example. If even the chief recruiter that was working for, I think, did it start under Conte or Nuno? One of those two. Paratici was really, well in after Pochettino had left, and that tells me in itself that he has seen enough here to know that things aren't ever going to come to fruition with these signings and the talent that he unearths. And if I were to be perfectly honest, I would wish him all the well. I would wish Paratici all the well, and I would wish him success that goes with him wherever he goes. And I think that the likes of Scott Mann and Johan Lang, well, it's on them now. It's fully on them. If Paratici does indeed, part ways with us. But again, I will still have this sort of lingering hope, some sort of clutching at straws sort of hope that Levy might be able to persuade him to stay, and that hopefully might lead him to be able to bring in more talent come this summer. Although I hope it's not underage talent or even under 21's youth talent, because as you highlighted earlier, we don't need any more promising youngsters. We really need those veterans of the game, veterans of the Premiership game, that really can walk into the team and elevate us, not just fill in the gaps or as a stopgap measure, but really fill in the gaps long term. But yeah, that this just has all the makings of the club, just falling to pieces. And I would say it's down to Levy now. It's down to him and the board and even the club to see if they can try and salvage something from this, see if they can try and either get a better recruiter that is sort of in the mold of Paratici. Because to be honest, I don't think Johan Lang and Scott Mann are doing a great job. The signings that they've brought in don't really instill confidence. But we never know. We'll never know until Paratici signs on the dotted line and his transfer away is completed. So until such time, or again, as always, as the eternal optimistic, I will still hold out hope that somehow, somewhere, Paratici sees some sense and remains at N17. Although, if he does move on, I would not begrudge him of a transfer to wherever he fancies, be it the La Liga or Serie A or Bundesliga or even the League One. I wish Paratici all the best if he does move away from N17. Having said that, back to you, Jose.
Yeah, so for me, Chang, I mean, people know my views anyway. So, at the end of the day, for me, I would love Paratici to stay at Tottenham, and for Paratici to be are doff, because it would mean changes. We know, and I've said this before, if Paratici was to come to Tottenham and become full-time at Tottenham, we know that Ange will be gone, because your doff comes in with a person, with a recommended manager and someone they can work with whose football aligns together. Paratici clearly doesn't align with Ange and the football he does. So Paratici would bring his own manager in. So it would be a change. But how Scott Munn fits into the equation, I do not know. I don't know what Scott Munn does. But for me, it's kind of weird because we saw the financial statement come out as well. And Paratici will make you spend money. Paratici is not skinflint. He will make you spend money. He gets some really good deals done, but he doesn't get the deals where you're only paying £30,000 a week for a player. He gets deals done where you're paying a bit more for a player. And the kind of player that he would look for would be, he wouldn't be looking for 17-year-olds, put it that way. He wouldn't be looking for 17-year-olds. He might go a bit higher to 19, 20. They're the youngest that he would look for, but he wouldn't be looking for 17-year-olds. And with the financial statement that was made the other day, it runs hand in hand. And I'm thinking to myself, can I see Levy changing his mind? Because at the moment, if you're going to go down penny alley, which is what we do, penny alley, because all we want to do is spend a penny on a player. You know, we don't want to spend the notes, the pound notes. We want to spend the pennies. So if we continue down penny alley, well then Langer and Munn are the people that are going to stay in play. If you change your mind and you're going to start spending notes, then someone like Paratici would need to come in. For me personally, and it's only a personal preference, I would prefer to have Paratici than the people that we've got in our setup at the moment. And I've said this for 2 years, so you know nothing's changed. But I just wanted to confirm the Paratici saga continued. Nita says, is it only us and Spam that are the lower part of the table? 6 London clubs in the Prem. Shame on Spurs. David Clark says, my national predictions mirror my Premier predictions, so you know I did crap. Jimmy Hotspur says, will someone else make an offer to Paratici? He's a very experienced operator. People will do, you know, people may well do, but I wish that team was Tottenham. So Paratici wasn't desperate to come back to us, so I would tell him to jog on. David, do you know what I think it is? I think it's more, I think Paratici would come back to Tottenham, but he won't stand by with Ange and probably Scott Munn. Because before Scott Munn came along, Paratici was the director of football, or whatever you want to call him, and he was on the board. He was the only footballing person we had on the board. He was named as a director. And soon as his ban came in place and they brought Scott Munn in, Scott Munn became a director, but he's more spreadsheet. He's not a football person. So I don't think it's Paratici not wanting to come. I think it's Tottenham wanting to stick with Munn and Langer. And in that case, it won't work. It won't work with Paratici. Paratici can't work with Lang and can't work with Munn because it'd be for all intents and purposes, he had the role that Scott Munn's got. And Gabbiadini had the role that Langer's got. So therefore it couldn't work. So it's not that Paratici is not desperate. I think Paratici would like to come back, but has to come back and he has to be remunerated and he has to have the job title that he possibly had before. You know, I wouldn't come in and take a much, much lower role and be expected to produce what I was producing before. So that's what I think is. Joris is here, says, hi, Jose and Chang. Good morning to you, Joris. It's been a minute. I hope you are well. There's a joke from Graham. Says, did anyone hear about the guy caught speeding towing a horse box? He said he was transporting horses for the racing. When it opened, it was empty. He said he was starting with the non-starters. There's a joke for you. It's only pennies. It's only pennies, Joris. David Clark says 60% of our first team players need to become squad players and new signings need to come straight into our first team if this club is to contend for trophies. I'm not sure we're going to be contending, not with the financial statement I saw the other day. I just think it's more of the same. Right, moving on. Southampton preview. Chang, today, what are you saying for today, mate?
I want to see a response, Jose. I think we've been saying that ever since episode 1, and I think this is what has come to pass now over at Spurs, whereby almost every other episode that we do, we're always asking ourselves, will Spurs bounce back? Will the lads bounce back? Will Ange respond? Will the players respond? Will we pick ourselves up? Will we stop the rot? Well, for the umpteenth time this season, whether it's over here on LTEL, over on We Are Tottenham TV, or wherever else the both of us appear on, I need a response, Jose. It's as simple as that, because anything less or anything short of a win today, there is a small possibility, although it's looking unlikely, but there always will exist this possibility that Big Ange won't even be around come Thursday night when we take on Frankfurt, but I don't think that's the case. And having said that, I still expect us to get a win, or at the very least avoid defeat against Southampton, because if we do, then I think even the media and the journals, they will have a field day of just seeing to it that something happens, just so that they can earn a quick buck from selling more papers tomorrow morning. But I will also go back to what I said very much earlier during the start of the show, in which we cannot get relegated at this stage, but neither are we going to get into Europe via the league. So with that in mind, I still am hoping out, or rather I still am holding out hope that Big Ange rotates and keeps the squad fresh and ready for Thursday night. And I'm expecting some of the bench players, some of the bench warmers to be starting, assuming that is that the likes of Son, Madison, and who else now? Let me see. There were a few other names that were doubts for this afternoon. Anyway,
Ronnie said VDV, Madison, and Son would not be in the squad.
So that means, I mean, this all speaks about rotation, but if you are to be very candid and very honest, the alternatives, or rather the rotational players, they don't really instill much confidence. I mean, just only the other week, either it was last week or the previous week, we were speaking so highly about Odebeer and Matthias Tel and a few other of our international players who were both scoring and assisting for their respective nations. And then you fast forward to Thursday night, and we saw none of that. We saw absolutely none of that at Stamford Bridge. So I really do hope something changes. Something does, hopefully come our way. And hopefully today is that day, because we need to build momentum ahead of Thursday night. Having said that, Jose, I still am sticking to my final score prediction. I will reserve that for the end of the show, because you already know my final score prediction, so I'll reserve that. But I still fully expect us to come away with a win, or at the very least avoid defeat. Anything less than avoiding defeat, I think, would be the final straw that that will prompt the board to really start taking measures and drastic action to see that our final remaining chance of silverware this season is preserved. And if Big Ange knows what's good for himself, and this is the one thing that I think he should, at the very least, get right today. If things aren't going our way, Big Ange has to make those substitutions very much earlier on. Whether it's a change in formation, a change in tactics, taking off ineffective leadership players, be it Romero or anyone else who's having the armband, I think he cannot afford to just stick to his guns and hope for the best performing players. But I still am hoping that he will turn things around today. And let's just see what the next 4 or 5 hours yield. And I am looking forward to an exciting match day ahead. It's going to be a 9 p.m. It's going to be a 9 p.m. Asian kickoff, which is around my bedtime. But for this one particular home league game, I will make an exception to my bedtime and probably maybe go to bed at halftime if things are going away. If things aren't going away, I will still go to bed nonetheless at halftime, seeing as it's kind of pointless for me to soldier on. But yeah, I really am looking forward to a fantastic match day ahead. And to anyone who's heading off to the stadium or even to the protest, have a fantastic weekend ahead. Have a fantastic match day ahead. But stay safe. Stay safe. Stay within the confines and limits of the law, whatever you do out there. And come on, you Spurs. Back to you, Jose.
Sorry, Chang. Sorry, I wanted to ask you just before we move on. You talked about changes and whatever. Tell me what your lineup is for today. Just off the top of the dome, what do you think the lineup will be today, roughly?
Okay, so roughly, I'm assuming that Vicario, I think, who was our single brightest spark on Thursday night against Chelsea. For me, he has to start and he has to build up that confidence ahead of Thursday night. And let's just hope that Vicario will be able to get a clean sheet against Southampton. And other than Vicario, assuming too that Christian Romero is also fit to play his second consecutive league game in as many days without picking up another injury. He has to start probably alongside one of Ben Davies or Archie Gray, because neither of them started. And from what I'm seeing here, neither of them came on the pitch as well on Thursday night at Stamford Bridge. So either one of Ben Davies and Archie Gray should be partnering Romero. Personally, Jose, I would very much rather it be Archie Gray rather than Ben Davies, because the last time we saw Ben Davies in a Spurs shirt, he got absolutely skinned by Ryan Sessegnon for Fulham's second goal before the mini international break. So I would prefer Romero and Archie Gray in centre back. And I think our fullbacks should still remain the same. I still expect Udogie and Spence to be starting out at left back and right back. Although it wouldn't surprise me if, say, Ben Davies were to start ahead of Udogie at left back. As for our right back, well, let's just see whether Archie Gray starts there, because we know that Kevin Danso is still nursing a hamstring strain. So it is possible that Jet Spence will still be a right back. And as for midfield, well,
Right.
Ben
at the moment, Chang, you've given me permutations of people that could play, would play, should play. But I just need four. Give me the four across the back. Your four across the back.
My four across the back would be Ben Davies at left back, Romero partnering Archie Gray in centre back, and Jet Spence at right back.
Okay. And then who's your three midfield?
So my three midfield should be Bergvall. Bergvall should keep his place from Thursday night, as does Bentancur, and probably one of Pape Matasar or even Bissouma will make up the midfield trio.
Which one? Which one makes up the trio?
Okay, I would say Bissouma. Bissouma ahead of Pape Matasar.
Okay, and who are the front three?
For the front three, I think Solanke has to start. He has to pick up where he left off at Stamford Bridge. And alongside him, I would like to see Matthias Tel start at left wing or left centre forward, if that is his preferred position. And as for Odebeer, I think he has to be dropped for Brennan Johnson.
Okay. Right. So for me, I would put an experimental side out today because of the European game. And my midfield three would be Gray, Sarr, Bergvall. And my front three would be Mikey Moore, Matthias Tel, and Odebeer, because Odebeer and Tel have played together before, and I think it'll click better with them too. That's if you're going to rest Solanke. So that would leave my back four looking like Porro, Romero, Davis, or Doggy. Sorry, Spence. So that's what I would do. And then everybody else goes on the subs bench. So if you're not doing what you're meant to be doing, you empty your subs bench and you can bring what you deem to be your first teamers on. So I would actually change it about today, is what I'd do. Just going to the chat quickly. Who we got here? We have got some people. So you've got Jimmy H says, I can't see us winning today with the current form and players being rested. Bella, good morning. Good evening to you, Bella. Ange Man Langa, I've set this club back 10 years in two big up lads. Thank you very much, Bella. David Clark says, I think Spurs may win today because the players that Ange will select are not first team stars. So I think they might play with a bit of freedom and not under pressure. So I expect a 3-1 win. Did you realise that since Spurs were formed in 1882, Postecoglou has the 12th best win percentage? That's unbelievable. The Wiz is here. Says, good morning, Jose and Chang, my friends. Good morning, Wiz. I hope you're well. Wiz, with a bit of comfort, is saying to us, you will bury the Saints, lads. Keep your powder dry for Europe. It's fair enough. David Clark says, I see Spurs finishing in 17th place in the Premier League this season with at least 20 losses. Just realised I have the PC going through my 4K sound system. I don't think the neighbours need to hear your thoughts on Spurs. Ghosted is here. Says, big up chat and Tel. Good morning, Ghosted. I hope you're well, sir. And Lee says, got to shoot off to the food bank. So the best of luck for this afternoon. Come on, you Spurs and UTR. I'm not sure what UTR stands for.
Up the Reds. That means up the Reds.
The Reds.
The
Okay, sorry. Wiz, I should have known that because Wiz is a Liverpool supporter. Wiz, have a good weekend, mate. Right, the last banner I've got for today is... it's only because we have to talk about this week because we're not on till Sunday. And on Sunday, we'll be talking about today. We'll talk about Thursday, and we will be talking about Wolves next Sunday and anything that happens in between. So, Chang, a quarter-final in Europe this week.
I am not going to jump the gun here and say that we will get a result against Frankfurt because, honestly, Frankfurt themselves are no pushover. However, they may be struggling over in the Bundesliga, and I still am expecting a very edgy and nail-biting encounter because this is the quarterfinals of the Europa League, and both teams, be it Spurs or Frankfurt, they will be hoping for some sort of a salvation, something to salvage this season from, and that would be the Europa League. And I still am hoping, or rather, I still am expecting us to, much like the Southampton game today, I still am hoping for us to avoid defeat. Although I think that would actually hinge upon our result, or rather our full-time performance today. I want, more than anything, Jose, I want us to have a complete squad, or rather as strong a squad as is possible at this stage of the season come Thursday night. And as such, I do not expect, or rather I would rather hope that we do not pick up any more injuries against Southampton later this afternoon. But a quarterfinal against Frankfurt. This reminds me of, I think it was, I'm trying to think back, the European, was it? Hang on. I think it was City, wasn't it? It was City. We beat City in the Champions League quarterfinals before we faced Ajax in the semifinals. So this would be akin to that. This would be somewhere along the lines of, say, preparing ourselves for a game against City in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. The season we made it all the way to the final. And by all means, the lads should be treating it as such. There shouldn't be any more so-called weak opposition on paper. And I think that should apply to Frankfurt. And as such, I expect it to be a tough encounter. But under the lights, those glory European nights that have been so synonymous with our team from the 80s, I really do hope we do turn up and we give the fans something to cheer about. Because for me, as a Spurs fan, if we are to book our passage into the semi-finals of this season's Europa League, the tie has to be won this Thursday night. Anything less than a win by a comfortable margin, and we will leave ourselves with an uphill task away at Frankfurt in a fortnight's time. That's not to say that it won't be impossible for us to, scrape through. Shall we find ourselves level pegging or even behind this Thursday night? But it will make that, task all that more difficult given our away form this season. But I still am very hopeful for this Thursday night as I am for this afternoon. And if you were to ask me right now for my prediction, although I know it's a bit too early, we have not even played Southampton today, but if you ask me for my prediction for Thursday night, I am going to go with a narrow 1-0 home first leg advantage going into the second leg. So let's just hope that against Frankfurt, we will be able to hold our nerves and keep the clean sheet, because conceding to them at home might only, mean that they will score a whole lot more when we travel away to Frankfurt. So I really do hope that we keep another clean sheet. Hopefully our second consecutive clean sheet in consecutive competitive matches. And I really am looking forward to episode 6 already next Sunday, where I hope that we have 2 back-to-back competitive wins to be talking about, Jose. Having said that, back to you, FA.
Just catching up with the chat again. David Clark says that his lineup today would be Kinksky, Porro, Gray, Davis, Udogie, Bissouma, Saar, Bergvall, Johnson, Richarlison, Odegaard. I'm not sure Richarlison being out injured comes straight back into the lineup today, David. But other than that, the rest could possibly get selected. We have good evening, Mr. Shear says, big g'day, Jose and Chang Cobbers and Busy. Great to see you both. Come on, you Spurs. And then he says, good day to the chat, to the Cobbers and Quebets. Good evening to you, David. I hope you're well. David Clark says, Frankfurt will be the sausage and a hot dog, boys. It's going to be another Dortmund performance. 3-0 tie over. Am I deluded? Good morning, Fiona. Fiona's here, says Frankfurt are third in the Bundesliga. I can't see us going through, but I hope I'm wrong. Kiwi Spurs TV says, big up my guys. Good evening to you, Kiwi. I hope you're looking forward. I hope you're well, first of all, and I hope you're looking forward to the game later. Graham says, if we are to progress, we need to secure the round on Thursday. The away game will be really tough, in my opinion. Right. So I watched Werder Bremen versus Eintracht yesterday in the German Bundesliga, and Werder Bremen won that game 2-0. In that game, Werder Bremen had 12 shots, 4 on target. Eintracht had most possession, had 9 shots, none on target. They put out their strongest lineup yesterday, Eintracht. So Götze played, Ekitike played, Larson played. They put up all their strongest lineup. They didn't leave any stone unturned. They went in with a strong lineup yesterday, and they were beaten 2-0. They didn't look great shakes at all yesterday. Now, whether they took their foot off the gas because of Thursday's game, I don't know. But the result was 2-0. It is what it is. It was 2-0. So at the end of the day, I'm looking at Thursday's game, and a bit like David Clark says, and a bit like Graham says, we all know that what you got to do is you got to do what you need to do at home. And the home leg comes first. Obviously, we're at home on Thursday, and we would need to put in a performance and a victory that makes going to Germany a tad bit easier. It's not going to be easy going to Germany, but to make it a tad bit easier. So if you go back to when we beat Dortmund 3-0 in the Champions League a few years ago, right? We cleared the tie 3-0 in the first leg, and it demoralised Dortmund, because when we went to Dortmund, if I remember rightly, we ended up winning 1-0 away as well.
That is correct. It was a Kane goal.
Yeah, so therefore, if you do your business at home and you You know, you put the tie out of sight, but you demoralise your opposition by getting that good victory at home. It could then make the return trip slightly, ever so slightly, a tad bit easier. And yeah, you know, we want history to repeat itself. I'd love to go there and win 3-0 on Thursday, and then go over to Germany, you know, knowing that, you know, we don't have to go after teams or anything like that because we hold an advantage. Thursday will be tough. We haven't been in a quarterfinal of any European competition for 7 years. I think it was 2018, wasn't it? So 7 years. So 7 years ago was the last time we were in a quarterfinal of a European competition. So we'll wait and see what happens. But we do know that today is... Sorry, we do know that Thursday is important for us. We know already, or we've known for a while, those are people that are not deluded, have known for a while that we weren't going to finish high up in the league enough to qualify for a European spot. So this not only is big for the fans and for the team itself to reach a semi-final, but there is, if you reach a semi-final, then there's 4 teams that can go on to win this. At the moment, Tottenham are one of 8 teams on paper that can still win this competition. We want to be one of the 4 teams that can win this competition. So therefore, Thursday we'll be looking forward to a result. So basically, Chang, next Sunday, like I said, next Sunday we will be talking about today's game because we do this a week later. So we'll be talking about we'll be talking about today's game. We will be talking about Thursday's game, and then it'll be the preview for the Wolves game.
That would be absolutely fantastic, Jose. And as I mentioned to you earlier, let's just really hope that we have something positive to be talking about in a week's time. Because anything short, anything less than that, I think we could almost say that the season will be over by then. By next Sunday, if we don't get a result on Thursday. So really, I would really love to try and get as much positivity from the remaining few competitive matches that we have at the end of this very, very, very disappointing and demoralizing season under Big Ange. Let's just hope really that starting with today, we put to rights all the wrongs from Thursday night against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and more than anything, I do hope that we don't pick up any more fresh injuries, because I think we are as it is we're not even able to get the best out of our current crop of first teamers, if they can be called that. So let's just hope for a fully fit squad to choose from come Thursday. And if we can get even Kevin Danso back, then I think that's going to be a big bonus, as will the likes of VDV, Madison, and Son, whom I'm sure they themselves will also like to sink their teeth into Frankfurt. Son too, more than anyone, more than anyone else on the team. Sonny trying to give us a commanding lead, going back to the Bundesliga where he cut his teeth under Hamburg and also Leverkusen. I think Sonny will be fully up for it. But let's just see if he can force his way back into the starting 11, assuming he's going to be dropped or rested later this afternoon. And I still am fully looking forward to those glory European nights. Let's just hope, Jose, that this coming Thursday won't be the last home leg of this season's Europa League that we have to look forward to. Having said that, back to you, FA.
Fantastic. Right, so Leo's here, says, good morning from Denver. It's 4:14 a.m. That's dedication for you, Chang, isn't it? Same as the dedication that comes from all the foreign countries that support Tottenham, including yourself, because you get up at silly hours as well. So well done to Leo, to you, Chang, to all the supporters that we have that are not in European time zones, because obviously it puts you out So there's 2 questions that we've got, and then we can wrap up. First one comes from Jimmy Hotspur. Is what do you think would happen if to Ange if we lost today?
I think nothing. 99% of me, or rather 99% of what I hope should come to pass if we were to somehow still manage to pick up our 3rd consecutive league loss since the loss against Fulham. If we do that against Southampton today, I still have this feeling that Big Ange will still be around come Thursday night, although the atmosphere next Thursday night would be sort of salty, borderline toxic, maybe even though we are with a European tie on a Thursday night to soak up, but it's not going to bode well for Big Ange, and I really do hope that doesn't come to pass. But assuming, and this is very rhetorical, assuming we do lose tonight, I still fully expect Big Ange to be at the helm come Thursday, and I don't think anything's going to change until the end of the season. But it will be rather strange and just borderline toxic come Thursday night when we take on Frankfurt. But yeah, I still fully expect Big Ange to be at the helm of the season, unless we get beat, I don't know what, 5, 6, 7-0 to the point where the board can't not take any further action. But unless we get beat really bad, I still fully expect Big Ange to still be about come Thursday night FA.
Okay. Right, for me, Jimmy, to answer your question, mate, the financial statement says it all. Simple as. The financial statement tells me that Ange is here to stay. That's what it says. We will carry on down Penny Lane. We're not going down the note route. We're going down Penny Lane. Right, and the last question that we had came in from Adrian, who's no longer here because I can see he's in another chat at the moment. He says, would you take DCL as he's leaving Everton at the end of the season?
If it's on a free, yes, but he would have to take a big pay cut or a wage cut, because as it is, we already have Solanke and Richarlison on the books. The only way, to answer this question seriously, the only way I can actually see this happening, if it does happen, is if we do a sort of a swap deal, in a sense that we return Richarlison back to Everton, back under David Moyes, and get Dominic Calvert-Lewin in the exchange for Richarlison. That I think should be and probably will be the only way we ever take Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So to answer your question, Adrian, Mr. Stroker, I would take Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but only if we can ship out Richarlison, because currently we already have one Everton forward reject on our books who's not really living up to the expectations. God forbid we actually have 2 who aren't, really living up to expectations. So yeah, that would be the only way I see Dominic Calvert-Lewin coming.
Thank you very much, Chang. I would not take DCL, but reading the financial statement, if we were to get rid of Richarlison, if Richarlison moved on to Saudi and you got the 60 millions or the 50 millions for him, then it makes absolute sense, because that would be profit to the club. And if you brought DCL in on a free, you'd make quid. You'd make your money. Do you know what I mean? And probably be able. The thing is you could do deals like this that make perfect sense if you are then going to spend the money that you get for Richarlison. But knowing Tottenham won't spend the money they get for Richarlison. So therefore, to me, I'm just going to say no. But it's something that could happen under Levynomics. Right. We have got Peter Kagayas is here. It says 8:19 in Melbourne. Good morning, Peter. I hope you are well. Another one who supports the club from afar. And as I said, it's another one where the European times don't match, so it becomes late. for people like yourself, Chang, and people in Australia. It becomes really late and really early for the people in America, and it comes late for the people that are in India watching the game as well. So all the support that we get worldwide is well appreciated. And as I said, it's all you supporters. Subdue Light says wouldn't go near Calvert-Lewin, injury prone. He went downhill when he wore a skirt on a fashion shoot, remember? And then laughs. Good morning to you, Subdue Light, and I hope you're well. You've just joined us as we're finishing this stream. Chang, thank you very much for today. What I need to say is I need to thank Tigaro for becoming a YouTube member today, or re-becoming a YouTube member today, and Shemtam, who became a YouTube member today as well. So thank you to both of you. It's much appreciated. And what I've done is I've just put in there Tel Raid, because as soon as this show finishes, I'm redirecting everyone to the Irish Hotspur. He's done me favours. I mean, it's not you're probably most all sub to him already, but it would be nice if I could redirect you over there, and you could all say hello to Dave and just hashtag Tel Raid. It would show Dave that I do appreciate, you know, the help that he has given me in the past. Chang, thank you very much for today, and we roll on to next Sunday. All right, but people, take care. And as always, I'm going to say, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
And in the big hands, I trust. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.